For the last several days, the crew of MV Suez, who were released by Somali pirates, 6 Indian sailors on that ship as well, well, they've been struggling to make it home. First, a renewed attack by pirates and then a huge controversy on who would escort them to safety. Well, the Pakistani Navy did move in first with its frigate, the PNS Babar, and then India belatedly moved in by sending its frigate, the INS Godavari. And then things seemed to be getting a bit out of control. According to sources here, the PNS Babar, while trying to aggressively maneuver at close range to the Indian frigate, actually scraped the helicopter deck on the back of the Indian warship INS Godavari. Though the damage is superficial, it could quite easily have been a major incident. What has happened, though, is a major diplomatic row between India and Pakistan, both of whom have lodged protests and have blamed each other for violating international maritime conduct on the high seas. Well, India has protested the Pakistani ship's risky maneuvers. We're looking at that very, very closely this evening. India is lodging an official protest with Islamabad on what Delhi has described as PNS Babar's risky maneuvers. India has clearly told Pakistan that the PNS Babar jeopardized the safety of the INS Godavari. In fact, in a statement, the Foreign Ministry said that the naval advisor in the Pakistan High Commission was summoned to the Defence Ministry yesterday itself. Well, joining us now for more on this, NDTV's Sudhir Ranjan said. Sudhir Ranjan, what does the Navy say about what happened?
Well, Vishnu, to begin with and quickly, if you look at what happened, Godavari was moving straight 12 o'clock to reach MV Suez and PNS Babar behind it. And all of a sudden, PNS Babar, the Pakistani ship, tries to overtake it from its right. And it veers very close to PNS Babar, to INS Godavari, hits its helicopter deck, and then moves ahead. Now, this is, during peace times, it is an aggressive behavior. Interestingly, Vishnu, the other, factors that are playing out in the government are so ironic. The Navy has the entire footage of these. These pictures are there with the Navy, but these have not been released. In fact, we have been told that after a very lengthy meeting when the Navy almost decided to come out with these facts, they were told, do not do it. Now, what our sources are telling us is perhaps, India doesn't want to escalate this beyond a point because there is the foreign secretary level talks that are going to happen. Vishnu.
All right, well, let's just bring our viewers a few more details of the ships involved in this entire episode. It's a pretty unfortunate one. 2 frontline ships of the Indian and Pakistani Navy. Firstly, let's just take a look at what happened. Now, 3 ships over here. The MV Suez, in fact, had come up earlier on. We'll just try and bring up that graphic a little while from now. But let's just try and bring up this point because I want to describe the ships now involved over here. The INS Godavari, a guided missile frigate of the Indian Navy. This is the ship that had belatedly gone in to try and escort the MV Suez to safety relatively in Oman. It'll be reaching Oman port later on. Let's just keep changing the points quickly so that we know about the ship. It's a guided missile frigate. It's got anti-ship missiles. It's got surface-to-air missiles, torpedoes, a main gun, close-in gun system. It's an elderly ship, relatively speaking, but it's been upgraded through the years and is quite capable. Also with two helicopters, seeking helicopters on board, both of which can be missile armed. It was inducted in 1983, but it's been constantly upgraded. Now, the PNS Babar was actually formerly the HMS Amazon, a Type 21 class frigate. It's also a guided missile frigate, but it doesn't have anti-shipping missiles. It just got a surface-to-air missile system. It's got a gun system as well, a main gun and a close-in gun system, but it's not really in the class of the Indian warship. It's got 1 helicopter, a very old warship. 1974 is when it was inducted into the Royal Navy. In 1993 it was transferred to the Pakistani Navy, and that's where it continues to serve now. Well, what are the real impact? What is this all about, and where does this take India and Pakistan? Joining us to discuss all of that, Mr. G. Parthasarathy, former High Commissioner to Pakistan. Thanks very much for joining us. Also with us, Commodore Uday Bhaskar, National Maritime Foundation. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us. And from Pakistan, we are joined by Ikram Sehgal, a leading defense analyst. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. Mr. Sehgal, if I can come to you first. Pakistan's account of what happened is diametrically different from India's account. And there seems to be evidence which has been produced over here that it was the Pakistani warship that actually hit the Indian warship.
I think first of all, let me say that it is very unfortunate. This was a humanitarian rescue, and in a humanitarian rescue, this sort of thing should not have happened. Now, who is to blame and who is not to blame is always, on both sides we have found that the Pakistan side will blame the Indian side and the Indian side will blame the Pakistan side. As I understand it, this is an area which is patrolled, and the sea area is controlled by the Indian Navy as far as the pirates are concerned. Now, there was a smaller Indian boat which was guiding the Pakistani boat towards MV Suez, and the Pakistan ship was meant to go because the whole rescue, the ransom that was arranged and paid, was done by Pakistani, Mr. Ansar Abbasi, and even the governor of Sindh was involved in it. So I think who brushed whom and how did it happen and who had the video or not is all a moot point. The main point one must understand is that on many occasions when Indians and Pakistanis have worked together in such cases, particularly the Indian Army and the Pakistan Army, when they worked in United Nations efforts all over the world, they've had terrific relationships, helped each other. Particularly in a recent case when an Indian battalion was stuck up, the Pakistani battalion went to its rescue in Sierra Leone. So I think the fact of the matter remains that just to blow this sort of thing out of proportion is very unfortunate. And I think the best thing is to step back and take I would say a lean view of it and say, okay, fine, whatever has happened, let's put it behind us and let's move on.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.